everybody, it's Rose and
Ryan.
And we are here to do a couples tag with y'all. We are starting a new couples tag. Basically, questions for interracial parenting. Obviously, we are an interracial couple and we are new parents. Some of you all may know we have twin fraternal babies. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into the video. Okay, so question number 1 is, have you always wanted mixed babies? I'm gonna let him answer first because I have a tendency to keep talking. So you can go first.
Okay, so as far as always wanting mixed babies, not necessarily, just because the fact that like you don't really know who you're gonna end up with, whether they're of the same race or a different race. I've always thought mixed babies are beautiful, of course. But I never was like dead set, like I gotta have mixed babies, because there definitely are some people like that. But it definitely is cool, just because of the fact that you get basically two different cultures, and basically they just make for like a good pair, as far as like just having two different people. But I mean, as expectation, not really. Like, I didn't always just say I want mixed babies, but they're beautiful, so it's awesome.
For me, I would say no, honestly, we've already talked about this before. I didn't envision myself with children at all at one point, so I didn't really want any babies. But obviously, meeting my husband, us getting married, and then we did decide to go ahead and start a family. And when we decided that, I did start to envision, like an idea of a baby. In my head, I guess I envisioned a baby that looked like me, even though I knew that like they will be mixed, so they probably look like the both of us, or like who knows, like anything really. But like I did at first envision like a little baby that looked like myself, and that really just came from like wanting to be able to parent a darker skinned kid and be like, you are beautiful, like from jump, like with them not having to have like that experience of colorism at early age, like things that I dealt with that I wish that, like, if I was my own mom, I would have loved me as a mom. Like, like I would have been like that, that's kind of like where my head was at when I imagined like a baby. So originally I did want like a darker skinned baby, but I did logically know that that was not going to happen. So, and obviously I was going to love my babies regardless of skin tone and all of that. But that is something that was like, oh, that would be awesome. Like if I could parent a baby that looked like me. But yeah, that's kind of my answer to that question.
Okay.
Question 2 is, what are your fears now that you have children that are partially another race?
I feel like, like, obviously, because, like, they're mixed, you definitely have fears of, like, like, people, like, racism and stuff like that. But, I think, like, a lot, you have to consider that before you have babies, and try to, obviously educate them as best as possible, and also, you also keep in mind, like, maybe where they go to school, where you're going to be located, that has a big influence on them being exposed to that kind of stuff. If you're in a more diverse area, like, probably less chances that's going to happen, but it's always a fear, because you just never want your kids to be hurt in any type of way. So, yeah. But I mean, that's really the only fear, honestly. But other than that, really not too much.
So basically racism for you?
Yeah.
For me, having lived with that experience is not as much of a fear, because like I know that they'll probably honestly experience racism to a lesser degree than what I have, mainly because like they are racially ambiguous. Like, when you see them, you don't automatically assume black off top unless they're with me, honestly. But I do know that obviously they still look like they are of color, so they might still experience certain things. So that's obviously, I know that that's going to happen. That's more so just teaching them early on. But one of my fears is more so like something that obviously is a part of like my experience with other mixed race people is either depending on how they were raised, sometimes some of them sometimes think that they're better than the average black person, if that makes sense, or what they think is the average black person, which is anybody who isn't mixed. My fear is raising children that are like that vain, that are just like thinking that because of their skin tone that makes them better in some way without bringing forth qualities within themselves. Like that's kind of my fear, is just like them being just super superficial, honestly.
Next question.
Are there any views or expectations that you had before that has since changed now that you have biracial or multiracial children?
I mean, views or expectations, as far as that is concerned, I don't think a lot has changed for me, just because the fact that, you know, I mean, I already kind of thought a lot of things through. You know, we had a lot of discussions before, like having babies and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think anything that would really happen is too big of a shocker, just because.
Is there? I guess maybe for us, because we honestly did a lot of planning and thinking before we decided to do this, and so we honestly tried to cover like everything, like all ground, like we tried to cover everything. So I guess it's kind of hard because it's similar for me, the answer to that question, like my views changing, not necessarily because we already knew what we were doing and what we wanted to do prior to even deciding to make babies, you know?
Yeah.
I guess for us, I'd reword it and say like, are there any views you had, I guess maybe before, like wanting to have children in general, like before we started making those plans and talking about it?
I feel like not completely, just because of the fact that, like, you know, I've been around a lot of like people that have, you know, multiracial or biracial family. Like my like step siblings were half white, half black. So like it, you know, I feel like maybe if you weren't too exposed to certain things like that, you might have a certain type of like view of it. But to be honest, not too much. Like it wasn't too different from before that I can think of that comes to mind at the moment.
For me, not necessarily when it comes, I mean, a little bit, but it was more so that I didn't want girls in general, not necessarily just because they would be biracial or anything, but just because like girls are a lot, for one, to raise in general. Just like in the world, like there's so much you have to worry about with girls, with women in general, like things that we go through that I just like didn't want to bring a child into this world and have to go through those things. So I was like really set on like I want a boy, because not that boys don't go through things, but that they don't have to deal with as much as we do. They don't have certain things that we have that, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was more so that I didn't want to have girls because I knew this experience that they would have. But being that they are biracial, and it's logical to say that a lot of men do like lighter skinned women, like that's honestly just the truth, especially in the black community. That's like an issue within the black community, is colorism. And so that's like a thing. Like if they decide to date black, that's something that they might have to deal with, is like people choosing them simply because of their skin color and then probably mistreating them because those people, like just things within those people themselves, like them having to deal with that. Like, oh, it's almost like they just are drawn to them because of their skin tone rather than anything else. So then once they're in a relationship, then there's so much more that comes into play. And, you know, I know the experience from the outside looking in of people of lighter skin or multiracial people that kind of have to deal with stuff like that. Like people just wanting them because of the fact that they're literally mixed. And that's honestly just that's not it. Because it's just not. Like there's so much more that goes into relationships and marriage. And you really want somebody who wants you for you, not just because of your skin tone or one feature of yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that And then also the fact that because so many men are drawn to that, it might draw in the wrong people, which is basically where I'm going with this, is it might draw in the people that are not good for them, or, you know, things like that. So that's really, but that's honestly my worry in general with girls, is why I say that. Because I think, like, even for myself, that's something I've had to deal with, like, pretty much all my life. Is like, just all the time, is like, oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. I normally don't date dark-skinned girls, but ooh, I want to date you. Like, stuff like that. Just, like, annoying things that they were going to have to deal with regardless because they're women. But I feel like even more so maybe because of the fact that they are beautiful. You know, they look like me a little bit. So I know that I look decent. So obviously that's why that happens. But then in addition, they're also light-skinned. And I know that that brings in even more drama. So yeah, that's really... I think for us, it's really just teaching them things ahead of time and teaching them values within themselves ahead of time, like before we even get to puberty, to those stages, like just trying to teach them self-love and things like that, that, you know, will help them kind of weave through the trash. That's the best way to say it. Like weave through the no goods and pick what they think or what they feel is best.
Yeah. If you got a son that's no good, he's about to get put in a headlock in 20 years. Believe me, I'll be bigger.
20, shoot, they might be trying to date by the time they're like 16 years old.
I'll put you in a headlock too, and your son. Doesn't matter to me.
All right. Last question.
All right. What do you love about being a parent so far?
Want me to go first?
All right, I can go first.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, what I love about being a parent so far is, you know, like, obviously you get to see, like, yourself and your wife or your spouse or husband, whatever, in, like, you know, both of you in your babies. And, you know, and also, like, what makes them, like, unique as well. Because obviously they're an individual. There's, you know, y'all put together. So it's really just getting to, like, spend time and, you know, like, play and, like, just see them, like, progress on, like, a daily basis, and, like, you know, just, like, their laughs and their smiles and their little personalities and stuff like that. So it's just fun, you know. Yeah. It's just fun getting to see them, like, grow and, you know, just learn new things and stuff like that. And but yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, but it's, to me, it never really feels like work, even whenever you're necessarily tired, because it's your baby, you know. So it's your baby. So, like, of course, like, at first it's really tough whenever you're, like, not sleeping a lot. But whenever you get
harder
past that,
if you got multiples. So.
Oh yeah, it's, like, crazy whenever you have, you know, like, twins or, like, triplets or whatever, you know, crazy. But yeah, once you get through the whole, like, no sleep stuff, then it gets better from then on out. Like, they definitely start to keep you up a little bit more throughout the day, but, you know, it's just fun because they're, you know, interacting more, and then they start moving around and doing stuff and, you know, trying to talk to you and all that stuff. So it's just fun.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with the points that he made. For me, there's, like, more that kind of goes into it, like, just the experience. Like, obviously there's highs and lows with everything. Like, I dealt with a lot during pregnancy, towards the end, and during recovery, and, like, even through all the bads, like, the goods are, like, those little jewels that I hold on to. Like, in my pregnancy, being able to meditate and feel, like, so connected to my babies and so bonded with my babies during pregnancy. And I just tried to, like, fully, like enjoy my full journey, like, the whole experience as much as I could, and just kind of, like, notate the good things. So those are the things that I remember when I look back, because I know as time goes, I'll start to forget certain things during that experience. But, like, I try to keep, like, those highs and those fun times and, like, the things that really, you know, that I love the most, just kind of at the forefront of my mind, so to say, because those are the things I want to remember no matter what. Like, those are the jewels for me. And so what I can say is just, like, as far as being a parent now that they're out and living and doing their thing, I really enjoy how they kind of change myself as well. Like, how we, like, the journey itself of, like, they're their own people, so they kind of do whatever they want, like, whether that's something that we want them to do or whether that's just whatever they want to do. And it's, like, it's such a weird thing to to just grasp the concept of like, we created these lives and now they're going to live these lives that are their own, like not ours, even though they came from us. It's such a weird thing. And it's just like, I really enjoyed just that whole fact, like the fact that they are living beings that came from us, and just like kind of seeing them do their own thing and like learn to crawl and just grow, and, you know, just seeing them shine, you know. Yeah. And so I would definitely say that I've really enjoyed the moments where I can see that they are really happy, like just really happy when they laugh, when they smile, all of those, like he said. I really enjoy seeing that, just, you know, seeing that they are happy. And then for myself, what I was saying about that is I love how they've started to change my views in some ways. Can you put her in her little bed right there? They've started to change my views in some ways. And by that, I mean, like I said before, like I had a certain experience where I grew up with a lot of children. I was the oldest out of 7. So I was like, I don't want kids. Like, they are just too much work, just all that, you know? And now, like, having them, like, I really enjoy having them. Like, they have widened our family. And, like, that's something that I really enjoy having, like, a bigger family. Because I came from a bigger family. And then on top of that, just kind of like those moments where we're all 4 together is kind of like the best thing, when we're just all like just there and just we don't even have to say much. It's just like lots of smiles from everybody, and we're just like really enjoying just being in each other's circle, just being near each other. And I just love the feeling of that. I don't know. Yeah. Like it's just I love that a lot. But yeah, I would say that I really enjoy just like kind of being a mother, and like, but still being able to be in my own career and having my business and all those things that I have like aside. I still get to be like, okay, now I'm off of work and I get to enjoy like mothering. And that's like, I enjoy doing it, you know? And so I like that. I never thought that I would feel that way. Like at some point in my life, I never envisioned being the way that I am now, but I love it. Yeah. So yeah, that's about how I feel. Yeah. Yeah, as always, thank you all so much for watching. If any couples want to do this tag, feel free, go ahead. We'll make sure that we input all the questions in the description. So if you want to copy it and do your own video, feel free to do so. And until next time.
Bye.
Keep up with us by following us on Instagram at AmoreGains. And as always, like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for good vibes.